Hello, everybody. This is Khiry Maddox. I'm going to be doing my presentation on meditation and balance in the prison system. Violence in the prison system is an ongoing problem. Inmates constantly have to watch their backs because someone could try to kill them or harm them at any time, especially when they're out in the yard and there's a lot of inmates around at one time. You never know where the killer or where your danger is coming from. At any time, they could be the victim of gang violence, rape, or beaten, maybe even killed, just so someone can prove their dominance over them or their gang. Violence not only comes from other inmates, but also the staff. There have been many instances of staff workers in prisons being overly physical with inmates, such as beating them when they probably didn't deserve it, or even participating in the sexual assault of inmates. People are killing each other in prisons when, for the most part, in big prisons, people were sent to the prison because they were killing people. Between the years of 2001 through 2010, there were 515 homicides inside the prisons. Here's a prime example of how a prison yard can go from 0 to 100 real quick. In 2011, there were 8,763 allegations of sexual victimization in prisons. 902 of the allegations of sexual victimization were found to be true after the investigations. About 51% involved non-consensual sex acts. This could be anything from penetration to touching and grabbing to verbal sexual harassment. Victims were physically injured 18% of the time in sexual victimization between inmates. About 1% of the staff to inmate victimization left someone injured. KO was interested in finding how meditation affected stress. They had a group that meditated for 30 minutes, one time a week, for 8 weeks. There was also a control group, that did not meditate throughout the 8-week period. Heart rate, skin temperature, and respiratory rate was measured before, during, and after each session. After meditation, heart rate was significantly decreased, skin temperature was significantly increased, and respiratory rate was significantly decreased after meditation also. If inmates become skilled in reducing their stress levels, it could help reduce tension and violence in prison. In a study done by Early, Researchers were interested in seeing if mindfulness meditation's positive effects on adults who were sexually abused as children lasted for at least 2.5 years. 2.5 years after the baseline, participants had maintained their decrease in depression symptoms, the significant reduction in anxiety maintained at the 2.5-year checkup. PTSD symptoms remained significantly lower than baseline. Inmates may suffer from some or all, which in some cases could be what got them in the prison system. Mindfulness meditation could help them with their coping abilities, lower the amount of violent reactions they have, and help them with their overall mental stability, which could help them become better citizens when they get out of prison so that they can live everyday life. In a study done by Kyun and Forientos, researchers were interested in finding out how individuals who participated in mindfulness meditation regularly compared to those who did not on an assessment of trait mindfulness and psychological well-being. For the group that meditated regularly, they used practitioners from a Buddhist university in Budapest, Hungary. Findings suggest that mindfulness is significantly positively correlated with positive emotion, vitality, attentiveness, and anxiety. These results could be promising for inmates because an overall positive emotion could bring a huge climate change to the prison. If people are more positive, then the rate of violence will automatically really drop. Attentiveness could help reduce injuries because the more someone is attentive of what's going on around them, the more attention they pay to things around them, they'll be able to realize when something bad is about to happen and be able to get out of harm's way in time. A reduction in anxiety could really help everybody in the prison because you have so many people from different backgrounds and a lot of rival gangs that if you reduce the anxiety, then they're not constantly worried about, what's going to happen what's going to happen today, or am I going to get shanked today, or are they plotting on us or something like that. So it'll kind of calm things down a little bit so that you're not really worried about having a prison riot every day, which is a very large possibility in prisons. The Meg was interested in finding if mindfulness reduced defensive responses to mortality salience, which is basically knowing that one day you're going to die and being able to think about that fact. Research found that more mindful individuals demonstrated less worldview defenses, such as being extremely pro or anti-US biased. Like during 9/11, more mindful people were not pointing fingers at everyone who was Muslim or from around the area, and they weren't racially profiling them because of what had happened to the country. More mindful individuals have less of a tendency to let their decisions or thoughts be influenced about someone because of their race. And they also are able to talk about their own death without getting defensive or feeling some type of way about it or uneasy. They can predict how they would die or think about what would happen and be okay with it. In conclusion, mindful meditation has been shown that it can help people in a numerous amount of ways, such as stress management, emotional well-being, anxiety, PTSD, judgments we make about other people. I believe that the prison systems all over America should implement mindfulness meditation in an effort to decline the rate of violence in prisons and possibly help the inmates who are going to get out one day with the rest of their lives. It could help them deal with living on the outside and making them more mindful of a person so that they could be a successful citizen and not end up back in jail. And that is about it. Thank you for your time.